Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Gallen. We're going to take a look at something that I think is very serious, in that heterosexuals don't really understand other lifestyles. And I think I'm being pretty accurate. Our guest is Jane Ward. She's written a book called The Tragedy of Heterosexuality, and I have many questions, probably more than we have time for today. Jane, by the way, is a professor of gender and sexuality studies at the University of California, Riverside. And her other book was Not Gay: Sex Between Straight White Men and Respectably Queer, Diversity Culture in LGBT Activist Organizations. So, Jane, welcome to Late Night Health.
Thank you so much for having me.
Would you say that the I'm going to call it the straight world doesn't really understand the gay world, or am I simplifying it too much?
I think the straight world understands what the mainstream gay and lesbian movement wants the straight world to understand. And this book is about challenging that a little bit, because the mainstream gay and lesbian movement has told one kind of story about what it means to be gay. And I think it's a story that's designed to make straight people comfortable and to make straight people feel accepting or tolerant, because, you know, that's important since we have had so many decades of homophobic violence. And so the message that the movement has mostly conveyed to straight people is that, you know, gay people are born this way. There's nothing we can do about it. If we could be straight, if we could snap our fingers and be heterosexual, we would do it in a heartbeat, but we can't, and so we're sort of just stuck with our homosexuality, and therefore you all have to accept us. And this book is about saying, you know, hold on, there's kind of a problem with that, which is that it presumes that it's better to be straight than it is to be gay. And a lot of gay people actually don't feel that way at all. In fact, a lot of gay people look at straight culture and straight marriages and think, thank God that's not me. And so I guess I felt like there was not enough attention to that feeling, that experience, which I think is kind of an insider. Like, if you are gay, you know that we feel that way, but most straight people don't know that we feel that way. And I wanted to share that with straight people.
So you, as a straight man, I'm trying to put this in perspective. Gay people, I have several gay friends, which is really a stupid thing to say, but it's true. I do. You know, and I don't care what anybody is. I have African American friends, I have white friends. I just don't have right-wing wackadoodle friends. Okay?
Yeah,
that's my personal thing. So what can we in the straight community do to understand better? I'll give you one of the words that is used in the book is the word queer. Now, in the 30s, in movie musicals, okay, Fred Astaire might say something like, boy, that's queer, meaning it's an unusual circumstance. But queer has other connotations today, and I thought that queer was not a term to be used.
Well, it wasn't, and now it is. It's one of those terms that the community that was being targeted by the use of that word as a slur has decided to reclaim it. And this happened in the early 1990s, that queer people, just like you said, had, you know, been called queer by straight people to indicate there's something kind of off about you, something weird about you, your gender or your sexuality is confusing to me and maybe seems perverse to me. And it was this sort of nebulous term that actually could capture a lot of different kinds of counter-normativity. And queer people said, wait a second, we've been saying, no, that's not us, stop saying that about us. But what if it really is us? Like, what's so wrong with having a different gender or sexuality? And in the 90s, that became a point of pride, actually. And so I use the term to describe myself. A lot of people use it. Not everybody uses it. I think some older generations still feel uncomfortable with it. But it has a lot of power in that it's not really so much about who you have sex with as it is about kind of making a public stance of embracing, celebrating gender and sexual difference.
And
so you could be queer.
I
know a lot of straight people actually who identify with queerness politically anyway.
Right. And I used a movie musical and Broadway show music because that's my kind of music. I'm not into rock and roll like our classic rock, the insane Daryl Wayne. I love Broadway show music. My father played it, my mother played it, and I play it. I grew up with it, and I don't quite hear rock and roll, so I use that as I make a lot of musical analogies that way.
Right, and some of you say that you have queer musical taste, and I think the queer movement would say, rather than be defensive about that, you could say that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of my issue isn't with people, but it's with terminology. I get so confused. It used to be he and she, period.
Right.
But there's so many differentiations now that it is confusing. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that because I think, we aren't born knowing all of those words, but, we also aren't born knowing all of the conventional associations with masculinity and femininity. Like, these are all things that we learn through social interaction. And so, yes, there are a lot of terms now to describe gender and sexuality, and people just need to learn them. There's no judgment. So, I teach in gender and sexuality studies, and helping people understand all that terminology is part of what I do. And it's important to recognize that, we all need help understanding those terms, and that the terms are there for a reason, which is to describe the fact that there's far more difference among people than we thought that there was. I'm not totally sure why people get so annoyed with the expansion of language. To me, that makes life more exciting. I'm excited to live at a time in which we have an ever-expanding vocabulary to describe sexual desires, for instance. That makes the world a lot sexier, in my mind, than a much more narrow set of norms for how to have sex or how to talk about sex, for instance.
Yeah, I have a story in our remaining time. My daughter was visiting, and this was years ago. It's got to be almost 20 years ago. And I had to go to the hardware store. Now, I am not comfortable in a hardware store because I have 10 thumbs, and we're there, and I needed a bolt. And there were male bolts and female, they nuts?
Nuts, yeah.
Nuts. And my daughter went nuts, so to speak, because she didn't know that they were male and female parts. I'm going to, Jane, good luck with the book. Will you come back and help me and the audience learn more terminology so we can participate in this new sexual revolution?
Anytime. I would be so happy to do that.
All right, great. Hold on a second, Jane. The Tragedy of Heterosexuality by Jane Ward. It's an interesting read. It's a good read, and I think it's something that we all need to learn about. I'm Mark Allen, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. Join us at latenighthealth.com, latenighthealth.com. We'll be back. Recently, I met Jacqueline from Bright here in Los Angeles. She gave me a hearing exam and then showed me how to hear again with the new Signia Pure Series hearing aids, and she can give you your life back too. I hear birds chirping, birds cooing, and even my wife. They easily connect to my smartphone. The Signia hearing aids are amazing, and with the charge and go, I don't have to fiddle with batteries and hear all day long. Not hearing is frustrating for you and your family. I know you don't have a problem, but trust me, call Bright Here now for a free hearing exam, a $125 value, yours free, just for making an appointment now. There are offices throughout the Los Angeles area. Call Bright Here now at 323-424-7100. That's 323-424-7100 for a free hearing exam. There's no obligation. Call now, 323-424-7100, or visit them on the web at brighthere.com. Late Night Health is proud of our partnership with the EBC, the Evolutionary Business Council. Check them out at ebcouncil.com.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Allen. The show continues in a moment.
The latest from the greatest, the best in new music by classic rockers, with your host, the insane Daryl Wayne.
This is Alice Cooper, and if Daryl Wayne is insane, what does that make me? Criminally insane. Stick around to find out.
Many of the artist interviews for the latest from the greatest have been captured on audiobook. There is a Volume 1 and Volume 2. Great information and conversations with people in the industry and people surrounded by the industry, and of course the rock stars themselves.
I'm the Reverend Al Green, and you're listening to the insane Daryl Wayne. And I said Wayne Insane.
You can find it on Amazon or Blackstone Audio. Search for the latest from the greatest from Daryl Wayne, Darrell Wayne.
Hello, this is Weird Al Yankovic, and you're listening to the insane Daryl Wayne, aren't you?
Welcome to Guide to the Soul. This is Robert Clancy. When your life's problems seem to rise and fall like the waves on a stormy ocean, let hope become your life raft and faith become your paddle. Every sea touches a calm shoreline somewhere in the world, and eventually this storm that you're going through will pass too. Never allow negative circumstances to define you. Whatever happens to you in life may be fated, and it certainly can't be changed after the fact. What you can change is how you feel about it and how you're going to let it affect you. Today is a brand new day, and as with any gift, share it with love and gratitude.
For more inspiration from Robert Clancy, visit guidetothesoul.com or go to the Moments with Robert page on latenighthealth.com. Late Night Health continues with our regular contributor, Robert Clancy. Robert is on every week here at Late Night Health, and he is the author of many books. He's got a great website, guidetothesoul.com, guidetothesoul.com. Robert, we're going to talk about attraction today. You have an opening message to titillate us with?
Yes, with the word attraction, I was thinking about, all the things in your life that you're attracted to and why. And my inspirational thought is when light comes together, the brightness only increases. And when darkness meets itself, nothing changes unless a glimmer of light breaks that darkness. And then it changes everything. So when you're thinking of attraction, it's, you could have a physical attraction to someone, you could have an attraction to a certain job, a type of car that you drive, there's physical things, there's emotional states that you're attracted to that, or experiences that you want to have in life and those things. And really what the driving force is behind that, when I boil it down to everything, it's just love. And that's only created when you create that moment. So it's almost as if you can create love on your own through this attraction.
How does that work? How do you create love through attraction? I mean, obviously, if you're attracted to somebody or a job, as you just mentioned, I guess that grows into love?
It's created in that instant. As soon as you have that attraction, that love is created. And it's almost as if it's self-perpetuating, because the more that you do it, the more that you love what you do, and the more love is created in that moment. And that's what happens when, when two people come together, or if there's something that, you've always wanted to do, and then you're attracted to doing that trip. And then when you're on it, you're in that moment, and it's really about those moments that you're seeking out. But in that moment, that love is created. And so in those three words, faith, love, and hope, all three of those are created because we create them, because it's part of the fabric of the universe. It's what we're all, connected to God and everything else.
What about somebody who doesn't believe in God? Can they still have that attraction?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily tied to that for the person. Each person has their own journey, and if you are an atheist, or if you don't believe in God at all, or whatever, whatever religion that you are, partake in, that's really not the question. It's that love is still created, whether you think it or not. So how is that created? And the whole thing is part of what the fabric of everything in our existence is tied to.
How does somebody reach for that and not letting things get in the way?
Well, that's the big $1 million question, because that's the human experience. A lot of things get in the way of that, and that's the problem when you put things in the way. Sometimes it's your worry, sometimes it's your fear, sometimes it's your doubt that gets in the way of that attraction, because you think, oh, can I afford this trip? Is this person going to love me back? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I spending too much time doing this? And I've got to tend to other things. And there's life always intersects that, and that's part of the whole experience. So, yeah, there really is no answer to that particular question. It's just that you keep steering the car just like a GPS when it goes off the road, or it goes off into, it may take you a little longer to get there, but if you just keep moving forward, you will.
But you still have those doubts pop up. Can I afford this trip? Can I take this trip without getting sick? That's on everybody's mind right now. Do I get on that plane? Do I get on a train?
Right. Well, that's part of that human experience. So that's what you're exactly that. It's the fear, the doubt, and the worry, or the questioning of things. I call it the big what-if thinking, and I've encountered people that go to the extreme. They're what-if thinking. It's great to know the worst-case scenario, but sometimes their worst-case scenario is so far off the end of that spectrum that the odds of it happening, you could win the lottery 10 times in a row versus that happening. So I always say, well, what if things go right? What if it's the other way? So you need to swing the pendulum back, and it's really about balance. It's about keeping some type of balance in that meter. Just like when you're driving, there's a balance, if you take a wrong turn, and we've all encountered GPS, you're out, you take a wrong turn, it's like, oh, no problem, it's going to just make me go up and around the corner. But there are those occasions when the GPS keeps going further and further out, and it's going, you just need to turn around. You need to recognize those moments in life, too, when you just can't keep going that direction. You physically need to just do a complete about-face and head the other way.
And what about those people who do, but what if this happens? I know people who are they're paranoid about, their checking account is $5 off, or that man may take advantage of me, not physically, but maybe financially, or I don't know if I want that job now. It's been my dream to have, but maybe I won't make it. How do you handle that?
Well, what happens in those instances? When I encounter people like that, they're often stuck, and then they miss the opportunity because they didn't keep moving forward, or they didn't try something new, or those things, or they got stuck in that quagmire that they're in. And the only way to do it is to change what you're doing. If you're doing the same thing over and over, Einstein said it's a definition of insanity if you're expecting a different result the next time you do it. So moving forward is also looking at different avenues that you're going to take and try something different. Throw caution to the wind sometimes, and you might discover something amazing. And that's how a lot of, amazing discoveries have happened in this world, because somebody took a chance on something or did something a little bit different than what was done before.
That's what life really is about. Taking that chance, taking that gamble, if you will, that it will work out, it being whatever it is that you want or are attracted to, a job, a person, a relationship, whatever, that you're taking that chance. You're going 100% to make sure that it will work.
Right. Well, to sum up everything, my dad always had that quote, birds of a feather flock together. And that kind of relates to the attraction, what you surround yourself with in your thoughts, your actions, the people around you, the environment you're in will attract like. It comes in. So a like attracts like. It's just part of physics. So if you're in a bad place, you're just going to get worse unless you make that change to move out of there.
And at the same time, even if you fail, even if that attraction doesn't work, it's a learning experience, which is positive.
Yes, beautifully said, because that's what stops a lot of people from starting their own business, fear of failure. And I looked at it that way. I said, when I started with my partner, she said, well, we could fail. And I said, well, now that you have that out of the way, what do we have to gain? All this experience. So that was it, and we moved forward. So that's part of the whole thing, and you just nailed it. It's a learning experience, and that's what life is.
Fortunately, we are recording this, and I can have that play back on my phone and every place else.
That's part of your learning experience.
And that as part of my learning experience. Robert, as always, thank you very much for joining us here at Late Night Health. Robert Clancy, multiple international Amazon best-selling author. You can reach out to him at guidetothesoul.com, guidetothesoul.com. And you can reach out to us at latenighthealth.com, latenighthealth.com. And Robert's right there on our homepage, and you'll be able to see him and connect to his information on latenighthealth.com. You can also visit us at Facebook, or you can listen to us on iTunes, Spreaker. I always forget this one. I've got it on, here we go, Spotify, and there's many, many more that you can find us on and listen to Late Night Health. Daryl, thank you as always.
My pleasure as always.
And we will continue. We'll be back next week with more. So everybody have a good week, have a safe week. Most importantly, have a healthy week, and be happy, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.
Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Words are a critical aspect of success. How you get your point across is a crucial part of what makes anything sell. So do it right and hire a writer. Whether it's articles, blog posts, technical writings, website content, product descriptions, or ghostwriting anything from a novel to a nonfiction book about your navel, contact Servet Hassan. If you want it to sell, write it right. Email Servet at servet@servethassan.com.